Good evening, folks. My name is Gerald Mbogwa. I'm the CEO of a nonprofit organization called Maktabas. Our website is maktabas.org. Maktaba in Swahili means library. And so we called our nonprofit Maktabas because our goal here is to build as many libraries as we can in Kenya for the schools, for the kids, and for the local communities. So our journey started around 2014, March 2014. One of my sisters went home and looked at the situation back there. Since most of us, me and most of actually my siblings, I come from a big family of 12. So most of my siblings went to these local schools. And when you go to these local schools, for you who know what I'm talking about, you realize they're not textbooks, like they're not books. The teacher will come to class, will teach, write on the board, write the notes for that day, and then walk away with a textbook, and the kids are left to copy those notes from the blackboard, and that's what they have for their reading for that day. If they have homework, they're going to do the homework from whatever they wrote. Kenya, as most of you know, got our independence in 1963. Um, and when you think about it, before 1963, education was limited in the sense that we didn't have, school was not the priority of the colonial government. Some people, of course, they came to the US, they went to London to study, but those were the few privileged people. The rest of the people, most of the schools were starting then, and so you can imagine since 1963, a lot of schools did not get to a level where most of the schools in the other countries are. And so it's up to us Kenyans, or up to, us, the people who belong there, to build our schools to be able to compete with the rest of the world. In that case, we decided, me and my family, okay, we've gone to 3 schools, we've been a little bit lucky, we've gotten out, we've come to the US, we've seen how other countries are, we've come to school, we've done degrees, bachelor's, master's, whatever it may be. So we started collecting books. As you may all know, in the US, there's millions of books printed every day. There's millions of publishers, there's millions of books that people write every day. So what's happening now is with the influx of Kindles, iPads, everything, a lot of people are reading books on these ebooks, on these electronic gadgets. So the need for paper books, like a real paper book, has gone down a little bit. So there's a lot of books still being printed, but there are less and less people every day reading these books. So what's the result? A lot of books end up being printed. Somebody reads a book once, donates it to the library has an overflow. They throw away those books to the dump sites because they can't keep up with the number of books that are coming in. So me and my family decided, okay, instead of watching these books go into dump sites every day, how about we collect them, we look for money, use our money, and ship these books to Kenya for the kids, and we're gonna see what we can do. So we started taking a few books. We could take 20 books. We could drive around and come back with a box of books. We could go and buy books. Like we could buy books. We could buy 10 books for whatever amount. And then we got wiser, and we realized, oh, there's so many libraries that actually could give these books for free, or they actually give these books for free for any takers. So we came up with a few locations where we collect books, half books, a couple of libraries in Palo Alto, and we collect these books, we store them, and it costs about $400, $500 a month for a storage unit in this place. Once the storage is full and we have books worth a 40-foot container, we'll call the shipper and have them organize for us to ship the books home. Shipping a container of books costs about $4,000 or thereabout. You need loaders to load those books. You've paid for the storage, and you've used your car, you've used a U-Haul to go collect those books, you've bought boxes to put these books in, you spent your time. Saturdays, I've spent probably most of my Saturdays at storage trying to get this book arranged and everything else. And then it's time to ship them. So you take a day off, get loaders, get your family together, get friends who can help you load the container. And a box of container is about 70 pounds, lifting that box. You're gonna load about 1,500 to 2,000 boxes in this truck. So get them off, they've left, and they're on their way to Kenya. You call Kenya, you're like, okay, there's a container of books coming. Call an agent, tell them, hey, get this ready for me. So once they get to Kenya, a lot of people don't know how the port works in Kenya or how the customs works in Kenya. I had my first experience and my first hand experience this past February. So the port of Mombasa can only hold a certain number of containers. So what the government has done is they've given a handful of people the licenses to open up big yards where once the containers get to the port, then this you can assign your container to go to a certain CFS. That's already, if you know about the CFSs. If you don't, then they're going to assign it to a CFS. Most of these CFSs start charging you on the fourth day if you don't assign. So if you don't know that you're supposed to assign a container to a certain CFS and it gets there, then it will be assigned to a CFS, which probably starts charging after 4 days as when that container gets there. 4 days is not enough to get an agent, to get all your paperwork ready, to have customs people come and look at your container, inspect it, and do all the paperwork. So anyway, assuming you know, and you get an agent, you tell them, hey, agent so-and-so from certain clearing and forwarding, I must say, I'm sending this container, here's the paperwork, get the paperwork ready. So the agent decides, okay, I'm going to take this to, for example, Awanad CFS. Awanad CFS, take it there. They have 21 days before they start charging you for storage. Within these 21 days, the agent needs to have found a customs agent, or rather, this CFS usually will have somebody assigned from customs. This customs guy will need to liaise with people from the port who are called verification officers. If they decide they're going to look at your container bit by bit and look at it and analyze it and look at what you put on your paperwork to say, these are donated books, these are zero worth to me. If anything, I've spent so much money collecting these books, I'm bringing them. As far as I did not buy any of this book, not even the brand new one that's in there. All these books are donated. A book that somebody has read once and taken to the library for donation might look very new. It'll look very new when it gets home. So tell them, so they'll look at this and decide, okay, this is a new book, you're going to give it a value of $4. This is a full container of books. So it's probably about 100,000, maybe more. So they decide, okay, the value of this book on the streets of Nairobi is 6 million. So, sir, you need to pay us 1.7 million, and that's 16% of the 6 million. Or else, we are not going to release your books. That's probably day 19 from when your computer landed, because they have to wait for a verification officer to come from the port, all this fanfare and stuff. All right. So you decide, wow, I can't pay 1.7 million. I'm a non-profit. Non-profits don't make that kind of money. I'm not selling the books. Honestly, my donors or the people I borrow money from, or my own money, that's $17,000, close to $18,000 on top of everything else that I've spent before this book get there. So fast forward, this is a real case. I'm not making this up. I go home on March 1st, and I'm like, okay, who are these people? Where's my books? So I go to the CFS, find the HVO, and it's like, hey, your books are worth this much. And I'm like, dude, I can't afford that. I'm bringing these books to the kids. Look at my website, look at my Facebook page, Maktabasinc. Look at my Instagram page, Maktabasinc. This is who I am. This is what I've done. These are the schools we've built in all around Kenya, Kiambu County. The slums. We've built Kibera slums. We have a couple of schools we've given books. Lukusi in Western Province. Everywhere else, Machakos, wherever. We've given books to anybody who has a library. So, and in other areas where we started, because charity begins at home. That's where we built the shelves. That's where we gave books and stuff like that. So talk to the HVO, and he's like, oh, dude, it's 1.7. My work is to collect taxes. It's not to befriend people. It's not about to discuss. And that's what we thought. That's the value of the books. And I'm like, why are you valuing books at street value? I'm not coming to sell them. How do I know? Nice. So you go to the senior, to go to somebody senior in the KRA and tell them, hey, this is what's going on. And they're like, you know what? There's something called Florence law. I don't think you know about Florence law. They go through it and they're like, okay, books don't get taxed as much as anything else. And if they're donation book, if it says donation, you need to do that. The HVO is very annoyed. The HVO, by the way, is again is a guy who works for them. So he gets very pissed that he has to go through these books again and revalue them. He comes up, talk to him, you're there. The agent who you sent to do this work has already taken off. He's busy doing other things because the deal that he had with whoever did not work out. So he doesn't want to be there anymore. He's gone, he's gone, he's gone. You give him your money. He's like, whenever you're done dealing with that, you can come and talk to me, but I don't have any money. So you're like, I don't have any time to do that for you now. I did it the first time. So you go with the HVOs, he's a little bit pissed. He looks through your container, he pulls out books. Hey, this book is worth $3. You tell him, look at the sticker on that book. It says clearance $1. If that book had been cleared or sold, you'd have gone for $1. The fact that they didn't sell it means that it was not even worth $1. Nobody wanted it, so it was thrown for donation. It's given up for donation. It's not that it's not worth anything. It might not be worth anything to the people there because they have so many books, but it's worth a lot. It's a cooking book. It's a computer book. It's a gardening book. It's a book that can go to a vocational college, and a kid or an adult can look at that book and gain a skill from that they can use. So there goes the story. So you argue with them, and they decide, okay, dude, all right, I'm going to value these books at 1.7 million. My work here again is to collect taxes for the government. You need to write to go to the bank and pay 300K. And you're like, okay, what happens after that? After that, you need to go to the shipping companies, you need to go to the storage people, you need to go to the customs warehouse and ask them how much you owe them. And I don't know, anybody who knows about demurrage knows what that is. So you go to start with the shipping company. You're like, hey, you guys shipped my container in November 2016. We're in March 1st. How much do you think I owe you? And they're like, dude, you owe us $600,000 for holding our container that long. So pay $600 and then bring back our container and we're good. Nice. You go to the storage people. The storage people are the same people where this HVO is. So if you really wanted, you could have said, hey, we held this container for this much. There's a misunderstanding. We fixed the issue. Let this guy go. But instead, he's like, go deal with those guys. So you go to the CFS, to the storage people, the owners, and tell them, hey, this is what's going on. My container is here. It's been here since November, and we're in March 1st. What's up? Go get an invoice from upstairs, the lady upstairs, the reception. They'll tell you how much you owe. You go upstairs, the bill is 1.5 million for storage. Do the math. This container sits in a place, one of these open places. They charge you 10,000 shillings a day. 10,000 shillings a day. In that number of days, or a month, let's break it down to a month. A month, these guys get 300K, because it doesn't matter if it's Christmas, it's Sunday, it's Saturday, it's whatever. It doesn't matter. So they charge you 10,000 shillings a day. So it comes to 300,000 Kenya shillings a month for having your container sit in their yard. Right? What can you get for 300K a month in Kenya? A house in Runda? Maybe that's even a little bit high for some of the places. It has to be one of those high-end houses, a 6-bedroom house, maybe with a swimming pool, I would imagine. But anyway, that's how much they want. Otherwise, you're not going to get your container. It's been there 3-4 months, so it comes to 5 months, it comes to 1.5 million. Talk to them, tell them, hey, this is what happened, this is the issue I had. I had to fly all the way from the US to come and talk to these people because they have valued the container. These are books, this is what we do. Look at our website. Go to maktabas.org. Go to Maktabasinc on Facebook. Go to Maktabasinc on Instagram. This is what we do. We're trying to give back to our country. We're trying to help these poor kids. We're trying to help them compete with the rest of the world. We want to give them a book. We want them to walk into a place where they can read a book. They say that's not really, we understand, but also you should know that the money that we collect from this storage is what we use to pay our workers for salaries. That's what we pay our bills with. So it's either we go without paying our salaries and you get your container for free, or you pay us and we continue doing what you're doing. Nice. All right, at this point, you're like, okay, add these bills. You have 200K for the customs warehouse. You have 600K for the shipping company. You have 1.5 for the storage company. You have 300K for the VAT that goes to the government. Add that money up for anybody who's running a nonprofit or who's worked for a nonprofit, you know what that means. So you decide, I'm going to go back to the US, I'm going to get somebody else, maybe my agent is gone, I'm going to get somebody else. You decide, I'll probably try and get somebody who has connections with the government to see, because anyways, part of this CFS is government owned, see if they can do something. So you get a guy, nice guy, tells you he knows so-and-so, he can talk to them. It's all about, they can get waivers for you. You follow this guy, day one, oh, I'm here, I'm sick. Day two, somewhere, anything, I'm busy, or we're in a government function, this is going on, I talk to this person, they'll be back on Monday. This time, the container is still accumulating more demurrage. You go another month, another 2 months, and you're like, this guy's just taking me for a ride, waste of time, I'm pulling out. Maybe you gave him some money to pay for something that he said private storage or something, and he's like, your money is gone. The agent is gone with whatever money you had given them to pay for the charges, and you're left here with nothing. The only option at this point is to have this container auctioned. If it goes to the auction, then you've lost all the money that you used at the beginning. All the time that you spend, it takes us about 5 months to collect these books to fill a container. And you're going in the evening, that's what you're doing in the evening, besides everything else you're doing. So you've lost all the money, all the time. You've dealt with people who cannot really help you. They're all out there, they hear what you're doing, and they're like, this person must have a lot of money, he's just giving books for free. Hey, just send us 180, 170K. We're going to get this out for you in a couple of days. And they disappear with the money just because you're far. They know you're not going to fly from the US to go to Kenya and all that stuff. What you're left to do is just sitting there, every day worried about the kids whose libraries are ready to go. And you're left with no option other than let that container go into auction. And probably when it goes to auction, the same people who messed you up are probably going to have people who are going to go there and buy that container for 100,000 or something. Outbid you're not even going to try, because at this point you're worn out, you're tired. So they probably go and sell whatever they do. I don't know what they do with the books, but my appeal, and again, I don't like using the phrase serikali tusaidie, but my appeal is VAT for books in Kenya needs to go away until we're at least at a point where we are catching up with everybody else. Again, this is a country that did not have as free and free education, or rather, education was not that available for us until after independence in 1963. We are catching up. You're trying to catch up with a lot of things, technology. You're trying to catch up with, again, books, part of it, everything else, infrastructure. I don't see why, when I ship books to build libraries or help the rural areas or other people, the slums and everybody else, and even help the young people who are coming out of school, the young girls who are coming out of school, the young boys who are coming out of school, and are trying to get work or trying to learn a trade or a skill that they can use to advance themselves, why I have to pay so much together, or why I have to go through so much pain. It's like, I don't know, it's like so much pain to get me to help them. I don't know. I mean, I'm just asking anybody out there, it doesn't have to be even in the government, anybody out there who has a voice, who can cry for these people, who can help us bring these books with the least possible amount of issues. The thing is, with the port, the cars, bringing in cars, bringing in machinery, bringing in a whole bunch of other things that come there, has been streamlined to a point that these people cannot make any money out of that. So if you're bringing a car, if you bring in say a Toyota Corolla, Probox, or a Prado, you already know how much you're going to pay, and that's how much you're going to pay. Nothing else is going to happen. The agent knows I'm going to get this much. The customs people know they're going to get this much. The thing with books, the VAT was introduced, I think, a year or 2 years ago. There's no structure. It's like bring in books, the HVO will decide how much those books are worth. If you don't have that money, they'll wait or you do whatever you have to do until you get it. If it takes you a month, if it takes you 3 months. So what could happen? What would stop this HVO from talking to the CFSs and telling them, listen, hold those books for 6 months and you get this cut? And I'm not saying that's happening, but I'm saying loopholes. We are smart people. We are a smart country. There are a lot of us young people. You look at these young people, the kind of cars they are driving, and I'm not saying they're doing anything shady, but there's so many loopholes when it comes to books. There's no set structure. If you bring a 40-foot container or 20-foot container, I can come in and say it's worth $1 million. I can say it's worth 50 million, right? So all I'm asking is the education ministry, the education, the PS for education, anybody who deals with education, anybody who cares to help the kids in these places, the rural areas, or even other places, anybody who cares to see the youth advanced, please help me bring this out there to anybody who can listen. I have 2 containers sitting at the port of Mombasa because they're asking for a ridiculous amount of money. I'm sure actually this is another serious issue. I talked to one of the senior people at Kenya National Library, and they have a container that has been sitting there for months. They get a container, say from Europe. A container is half. It's half books for the Kenya National Library. Anybody who has traveled to Upper Hill sees that new library. They're the big library. There's no funding for the books in that. So the library looks for books. So they'll go and apply, they'll get a container, and these people tell them half of those books you can use in your library. The rest of them, give them to schools that don't have books. They did the same thing. They brought a book container to Mombasa, and again they were told, you guys have been paying very little VAT. You have to pay this much VAT. These are almost also a government organization, so to say, but I don't know why there's that issue. But they also have a container stack there. I have 2 containers of books stacked there. Look at my website. Look at maktabas.org. Look at Maktabasinc on Facebook. Look at Maktabasinc on Instagram. And tell me what we need to do to bring these books home with the least issues, and how we can go about dealing with these people at the port. Because you can't convince them anything. I can't convince them I'm not going to sell those books. They want me to convince them. Of course, you know what that means. I can't convince someone I'm not going to sell those books. I don't have the time to go sell them. And that's my request for tonight. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll get a breakthrough to this big problem. Thank you. Bye.